Before I take the podium, I get a big round of applause, but no. But I understand today I'm addressing an esteemed meeting of esteemed ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, members of the media, the Deputy Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Noncawe Mafu, the Acting Director General, Mrs. Stella Kumalo, members of the media, distinguished guests. I've convened this media briefing to announce several developments in sports, arts, and culture. These include entities that have been appointed by virtue of the powers vested in the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture. This year has been a very significant year in South African sport. This year began with South Africa hosting the Cricket Women's T20 World Cup. The Proteas women reached the final of this tournament, their best performance in the World Cup in history. Our athletes also did the country proud at the World University in Chengdu in China, where South Africa won 20 medals. South Africa hosted the first ever Netball World Cup to take place on an African soil. The Spa Proteas finishing 6th in position in this World Cup. But their performance did much to draw attention and support to the sport of netball. South Africa has also hosted premier events such as the World Rowing Renaka and the Rugby Under-20 World Cup, where the Baby Box finished in 3rd place. The senior men's rugby team, Amapokopoko the Springboks, made the country proud by bringing the Rugby World Cup title home for the record 4th time. We saw during this tournament and in the build-up to this tournament just how much the Springboks team mean to the South African country and how much this country means to the entire Springbok team. We congratulate the players and the coaching staff for lifting the mood of the country as it continues to be. We also salute the senior men's cricket team, the Proteas, for fighting against all odds and reaching the semi-finals of the International Cricket Council World Cup, which was held in India. We take our hats off to the Proteas for their strong run into the World Cup. Remember, in the year 2019, Cricket World Cup, the Proteas were knocked out in the first round of the tournament. This has been phenomenal achievement in 2023. South African women's and men's cricket team show a great future for South African cricket. We salute all our national teams who participated and campaigned in World Championship in 2023. Thank you for flying South African flag high. You are heroes and heroines. In August this year, we held a national sport indaba that produced a framework of school sport as a bedrock for sports development. We are looking forward to the implementation of the roadmap that will inform the national road shows as part of a drive to revive school sport, especially in townships and rural areas. Recently, the Deputy Minister of Arts and Culture, Noncawe Mafu, and the Acting Director General, who are with me today, went to a bilateral visit in Jamaica, where a cooperation agreement in the field of sport or school sport development was signed with the Jamaican government. You will recall, during the school sport in Daba, which was held in Gauteng, we held international benchmarks from some of the best countries, such as Jamaica, Germany, Russia, New Zealand. And we were quite wowed by the Jamaican model on school sport, which starts at age 7. And it is that persuaded us to send the Deputy Minister to sign this important agreement of cooperation and exchange. In 2011, government held a sports indaba, which profoundly changed sport approach to transformation with the adoption of Transformation Charter. The indaba further resolved to ensure that the charter is implemented. An independent entity to monitor and report the progress will be required and appointed. This led to the appointment of what is called EPG on sports transformation, with immediate task 1, to design and implement management systems to collect, analyze, and interpret data to establish and report on sports transformation status and progress, to provide an annual transformation status report for all sporting codes. Since its inception, the EPG has completed 9 transformation audits and officially handed over 8 reports to the Minister. It is my pleasure, therefore, to announce the new Eminent Persons Group. The members of the Eminent Persons Group represent diverse expertise in sport development, research, academia, experience of working and dealing with issues of transformation across other sectors. The new members are Dr. Stebe Mbete, the chairperson, Ms. Nonhlanhla Nzuza, Ms. Riali Dwaba, Dr. Ken Kona, Mr. Ivo Wolf, and Mr. Samkelo Hatebe. Mr. Andile Nqini, Mr. Maxwell Jordan, Mr. Professor Christo de Koning, as well as Ms. Giska Austin. The appointment of the 2023 World Cup comes as a result of the announcement by the President that we needed to establish and build what the President said called a netball arena to ensure the development, sustainability, and competitiveness of netball. The Minister met with Netball South Africa on the 31st of August 2023 and emphasized the need to sustain the momentum as we move forward towards the 2027 Netball World Cup and beyond. It was then agreed that an independent advisory panel be appointed with an objective of developing a blueprint for netball in the country. So the idea is not just to have a structure called an arena, but to develop a blueprint which will talk to issues of ecosystem of netball from a grassroots to amateur as well to the competition. Among others, this independent body will deal with the following: to address and redress netball landscape on and off the field, and to play appropriateness and demographics of the country as we make sure that we build netball which is inclusive, that addresses issues of infrastructure. I am pleased to announce the following members of the independent advisory panel on netball: Ms. Maria Bezendewot, Nozipho Jafta, Nozipho is the CEO of SASCOC; Ms. Blanche, the former CEO of netball; Mrs. Zanele Mdoda, the former Proteas captain, now the netball coach of the University of Stellenbosch; Dr. Aricha Mashego, academic and the director of sport at the University of Tshwane. The current term of Board of Boxing South Africa expires on the 11th of December 2023. The board was appointed and given an important task of renewing boxing and ensuring boxing is returned to a former glory days. For the past 3 terms, the board was able to come up with a renewal strategy, yet there have been challenges. Administratively, the organization has been without a chief executive officer for an extended period since the litigation by a former CEO of Boxing South Africa. The situation led to one of the board members taking the role of the CEO, which is not a good practice, but became necessary given the emergency of the situation, of the unforeseen situation. The new board immediate task is to ensure the position of the CEO is advertised and filled as a matter of urgency. I've had the privilege to meet with the new appointed chairperson of the board and raise this matter with him, that we need to do everything we can to bring this sport back to its glory days. Someone said to me yesterday, whoever you appoint as a board, make sure that you are able to wake up at 3 a.m. in the olden days to watch and enjoy boxing, as we used to do. I'm therefore pleased to announce that I've decided to appoint the following people as members of the Board of South Africa with effect from the 12th December 2023 until 11th December 2026. Mr. Sfiso Shongwe, appointed as the chairperson of the board. Ms. Princess Mangoma, Ms. Nande Mshe, Mr. Sakiwo Sodo, Mr. Lukolo September, Ms. Romy Titus, Dr. Mary Sitati. Let me take this opportunity to thank the outgoing board members for the work they've done during the period, which they did very well, and I wish them well with their future endeavors. I wish to thank the incoming board for agreeing to serve and accepting this important appointment. Following the news in September of 2023 that South Africa's existing legislation was not compliant with the World Anti-Doping Code, I am pleased to announce that we have worked tirelessly to amend the legislation as recommended by World Anti-Doping Authority. This has been an input, among others, from WADA in working with us to draft the South African anti-doping legislation, which has now been taken through the South African constitutional processes of finalizing the bill. Through the leader of government business, the bill has now been submitted to the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, who have acknowledged receipt and directed that the bill must be gazetted. The bill was formally placed on the government gazette on Thursday, 23rd November 2023. This is a very important, significant progress for us. Hosting of WADA Regional Office. In 2023 April, WADA published a call for expression of interest to host East Africa office. The office is currently hosted in Cape Town by the Republic of South Africa. 3 countries, namely Egypt, Morocco, and South Africa, formally expressed interest and submitted candidates file. Evaluation visits took place in the 3 countries at the beginning of October 2023. We are pleased again to announce that WADA has once again awarded the hosting of WADA Africa Regional Office to South Africa. The office will continue to be based in Cape Town. This is very important. We have noted the media statements from the South African Football Association to withdraw its bid to host the FIFA World Cup Football 2027. The government of the Republic of South Africa was clear in November of 2022 when supporting FIFA expression interest in hosting 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup, that the latter cannot be considered an underwriting, a guarantee of financial commitment by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture or in any other department in the Republic of South Africa. The department has fully supported SAFA in providing the Federation with platform to address various levels of government and stakeholders. Government was also prepared to participate in the FIFA Observer Program for potential host cities during the FIFA World Cup in New Zealand and in Australia. We respect the decision by SAFA to work towards a well-prepared bid in 2031. The 2024 International Cricket Council Under-19 World Cup was scheduled to take place in Sri Lanka from the 11th of January to the 20th of February. On the 21st of November 2023, the ICC board decided to move the tournament from Sri Lanka and award it to South Africa. The move was taken as a consequence of ICC provisional suspending Sri Lanka due to extensive government interference in the board and administration. The Under-19 ICC World Cup will now take place in South Africa from the 20th of January to 11th February 2024. The event will take place in the following areas: the Buffalo Park Cricket Stadium in East London, Diamond Oval in Kimberley, JP Max Oval in Potchefstroom, Mangaung Oval in Bloemfontein, and Willomo Park here in Benoni in Gauteng. 16 countries are expected to participate. No government funding is required. The ICC and Cricket South Africa will provide funding for this tournament. This deserves another big round of applause. Let alone that Cricket South Africa is much one of the best organized federations. But if you look at, this is a confidence of support to South Africa, where a certain country in a period of 1 month is suspended and South Africa is given to host such an event. It's a confidence of hosting such events. I am pleased also to announce that a new all-encompassing awards for the arts and culture sector, the South African Creative Arts Awards, will be the most desired recognition and cultural recognition in the South African creative industry. These awards will be bestowed to South Africans leading creatives in the various sector of categories and subdomains and sub-themes who exhibit outstanding artistic and technical achievement. The South African Creative Awards are for creatives from across cultural domains who push boundaries of their creative ability and show devotion to excellence. These awards, the details will be announced soon. They will be held next year around the end of the financial year, which is around March or early in April. Thank you very much, members of the media.
Thank you very much to the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture. There were a lot of positive developments that the Minister has announced, and now open the floor for questions from the media. What you're going to do, we'll start by taking 5 questions in this first round on interviews, and then you see how we go there. So I open up the floor for questions. Mr. Aseri. If I may ask, first of all, before you ask a question, can you please introduce yourself and just which media house you represent?
My name is Aseri Kodwa, and I'm from Capital Life Radio, the 9.0 FM. Minister, thank you so much for the statement that you just gave us. It's inspiring indeed, especially as a build-up from the school sports events that was held a few months ago here in South Africa. I hear that the Deputy Minister went to Jamaica to sign or to forge that partnership that almost every journalist has been asking that side. I just want to know, because I can see with Yasha, it happened like 2 months ago, and now she's back from Jamaica. When can you expect the program to be started, especially in township schools? Also, I would love to ask if this new boxing structure that is coming up, has they also been given the mandate to launch boxing in schools, even in different provinces, where we saw boxing not being entertained, so that we can at least have all 9 provinces having boxing participants, starting from grassroots level in schools. Thank you so much.
Sure. Next question. So David?
Hi, David Isaacson from Times Live. I'm interested to find out if the incoming board for Boxing South Africa will be in any way financially prejudiced, for lack of a better word, as a result of the financial settlement with the former ex-CEO, CEO of Boxing South Africa, who's reportedly the cost of that are around 11 million rand, and government's grants traditionally is just over 19 million rand. Is this board going to have to get through the next financial year with 11 million rand less, or will an allowance be made, or sort of how will it work? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Tami Akambongo. I'm from Creative Talk on SICA. SICA is Cultural and Creative Industry Guild of Africa. I would like to ask a question, Minister, regarding the Creative Awards that you just launched. We know previously the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture and the previous minister launched similar awards, which was called USIBA Awards. And it was the first time when it happened, and it did not happen. Our concern is Cultural and Creative Industry Guild of Africa. Is it, are we starting a trend, each minister is going to develop their own awards and then not come back to the sector and say, this did not work, this is what is going to change? And in the new awards, we also noticed the figure that you've excluded the cultural industry, because you are seeing these awards are called South African Creative Awards. And we, as SICA, we want to be clear, every time when we're doing cultural and creative industry, we must be careful to exclude one. And the last one will be which stakeholders in the cultural and creative industry did you consult on this, or it's something that the minister felt it's needed? I was very disappointed just to hear smaller than a thing that you spoke about the industry, but when it comes to sport, you were much more detailed, and I'm looking forward to receive more information about these awards. Thanks.
Shall we go ahead and answer those questions? Yes.
much. I'll take the first question from Mr. Ndlovu from Capital Radio around the issue of the school sports in Ndaba. It's true that we following the school sport in Ndaba and how the recommendations came through from that school sport in Ndaba, that a delegation from the department had to travel to Jamaica. We came back on Sunday night afternoon. We had signed a program of cooperation with the government of Jamaica. This is based on the fact that both countries had signed a memorandum of understanding around June 2014 on areas of cooperation in sport. But what has then had happened is that that memorandum of understanding was not put into a program. So what we did then when we go back now was to make sure that we programatize the memorandum of understanding. Hence, we had signed the program of cooperation. And yes, Mr. Ndlovu, very soon as the memorandum of understanding between the Department of Basic Education and the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture has been updated, we will be coming back to you to then explain how we are going to enroll this program, because we cannot roll out a program of school sport without a proper agreement with the Department of Basic Education. You correctly point out also the issue of boxing. So there's a roadmap already that we've put in place around all the sports codes that must take place in schools. But we will be able to explain in detail. But we also are happy to say to you that the Jamaica will be having a what they call national championships around March, and we are hoping to take a bigger delegation back there to be able to go and learn best practices, so that as we roll out and unpack this program from the age of 7 years upwards, as we had said, we are able to do it, including every school, every province, and every school sport code that is needed at the school level. Thank you so much. Minister will take the other questions.
Zimbabwe Minister will take the rest of other questions. No, I'm happy that the CEO of SASCOC is here, David. When we first came to office, when we met with the Federation, SASCOC, as well as other federations, let's say the 5, and what our emphasis was, if we were to get anything right in terms of federations, it's governance and leadership. If you get those two right, and I think you will see the improvement in a number of federations because they've improved in these two. And I think one of the immediate tasks of the new board of BSA is these two challenges. You need to stabilize leadership. You need to do right on governance. There shouldn't be any question about it, including where you review your funding model. Because if you don't review funding model, you can't have a federation that's still, including an entity, that still depends on government or the state. It's not possible with almost the challenges we face in terms of our fiscus. So you need to look at corporate. So the corporate sectors, but you can't do that if you're not stable in leadership and you're not right in terms of corporate governance. So if you look at the composition of the new board, just look at where they come from. They bring diverse expertise, skills, and so on. It's people who will bring this stability you need in the PSA. So I accept the point that you make. One of my preoccupation, it's not right that we're excluding cultural sector from the awards. And I've always said this, I'm sure you heard me saying this time before. It's much difficult to get the cultural sector united and organized, including creatives. It's much better in the sport, very organized federations, association, and elite. And one of my preoccupation, almost sleepless night, is to how do we get better and organized creative and cultural sector? And I'm not saying the awards an attempt to get them organized. And I'm saying it's a work beyond the awards that we continue to do. But to answer your question directly, we do not exclude the cultural sector in the awards. You'll see in the concept, which I'm sure the members from the department can share with you, the concept paper. The Deputy Minister explained about some of the misalignment in the policy when it comes to school sport. I mean, there are areas where they rest with the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture as a Department of Sport. But there are areas that rest with the DPE, which is why in some areas, school sport was an extramural, only takes place at 4 in the afternoon when everybody is exhausted. They are expected to participate. It must be part of a curriculum. It can't be an extra. Boxing is part of that curriculum. Because when you talk about school sport, you can't exclude boxing. It's a sport. The point I'm making is that one of the engagement we now have, coming from Jamaica and so on, I'm talking to my counterpart, Mama Angie Motsecha, to say how best do we align our work so that the impact can be felt. So there are issues of legislation, which I think need to be sorted out. Our offices are working on that at the moment. But I think soon, but it does not stop some of the programs that are already underway. But we need much more coordination. For an example, when during the championship DM, when we did well with we wallowed Wallabies, and I saw some of the younger players from the Poland of Springbok. I took an interest to understand what is good about Poland. I went to see them. I reported to the TM. They've got some of the best rugby school system in the area, and I thought some of the sporting codes can learn something from rugby to produce 19, 20 who are now playing for a national team in the World Cup. So you've got a future of the next 4 World Cups, almost represented 1 or 2, I think it's 4 players now who are from that region. I'm mentioning that as an example, but there are lessons to be learned, there are exchanges, and I think very soon we'll be announcing a very comprehensive school, very integrated, not comprehensive, integrated comprehensive school sport, which will take us and improve the performance of our national teams. Thank you very much.
Any more questions? So.
My name is Humutum Kwena from Sunday World newspaper. My question is to the minister. Minister, can you elaborate more on the SAFA 2027 bid that was dropped? Can you unpack for us? Because we're under the impression that government was working with SAFA, but it seems like there were no government guarantees or support coming from government. So the question would be, did SAFA approach you when they launched the intention at the beginning so that we could have avoided the situation that we found ourselves in when the statement was released? Thanks.
Okay. Vanilla from SABC. Minister, just 2 questions to add on Homuso's question around SAFA. We also picked up that in one of the parliamentary committee discussions, and according to the records that I've seen, the committee and also the department at some stage were not happy with SAFA's contribution to the EPG report. I would like to know if did this also play a role in terms of the decision of the government around this particular matter of the 2027 World Cup, and also on the new board, if you can just take us through of PSA, because we see a lot of youthful approach there, and maybe a different shift in how the previous boards have been appointed. What informed your decision in going with this new team?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Ivan Tiso. and I come from the Cultural and Creative Industries Group of Africa, representing majority of the artists in the country. Minister, thank you so much for the presentation. My two questions are, you speak of the legislation and you are saying the office is working on it. This has been a struggle for many years in the sector, but I'm not hearing what exactly is your office working on towards achieving this goal, because it has been a very long struggle for us. So if you can just unpack that a little bit for us, I would appreciate it. Number two, I'm sorry that I came a bit late. I didn't hear much about the awards, the new awards that are about to be launched, but I was quite surprised that when we engaged with CIPSA, they knew nothing about the awards. And I'm a bit concerned that is the department doing these awards on their own, or the sector is involved in the planning of the awards. For example, SIGA was not told, you don't know anything. Yet you've got thousands and thousands of artists that we are representing and you don't even know how to answer to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Asari Jogo from Capital Live again. I just want to quickly go back to one question that was asked and it was not re-answered properly some time ago, based on the school sports. There's a question that revolves that revolves around the coaching or the training of these athletes or participants in different sporting codes. That how can a coach that is somewhere that is willing to participate, or a trainer that is willing to participate in this program can apply or can take part, so that we can avoid this thing of having a teacher that is teaching geography and now becoming a swimming or football coach without any proper understanding of the code. Thank you so much.
Shall we answer this round of questions?
I suggest that let's make the roadmap available, the school sport roadmap, because it does talk to a number of things that must still happen. For an example, one of the lessons we learned from the Jamaican model was an extensive consultation they do, including with teachers' union. In our roadmap, we do mention there's already been a request from some of the teachers' federations to meet with us. They attended the school sport in Daba. They like the idea, but they want to answer your questions. And I'm sure as soon as we engage, we're going to provinces now to engage in provinces, we go to the district level. So it's part of the roadmap. It's quite a complex one. Again, that alignment I'm talking about must address those issues. The legislation I was talking about, my sister, I was talking about the school sport. That is the legislation I was talking about. But I can say without fear of contradictions that in the 201 meeting we had with CIFSA, we did raise the issue of the awards. I'm sure the records can be made available to you whom we met. They did. I personally raised it with them. So the issues about training and coaching and so on will then arise in the context of our MOU with the DPE as part of the consultation. What else?
So it's also more on the SAFA that was pulled.
No. We don't bid as government. It's federation. That came, obviously, the government must give certain guarantees. So if netball will host a successful netball World Cup in a country, the World Netball will look at South Africa as a country, not just netball, as a federation. Your security, your academia, your accommodation, and so on. That is where the working relations between federations and sporting bodies is quite important. The CEO of netball, the CEO of SASCOC, she's doing exactly this. So that working relations is very important. So there won't be an ICC Under-19 World Cup that just announces that we're going to South Africa. To do what? When they land, their visas, there's many other things that are involved in the hosting. Even before they arrive here, there's a lot that must happen as they leave their own country. And it can only be done by government to government, working with the federation. So I'm sure federations, they know that, among others, they must be prepared when they submit a bid. You can't submit a bid, you come to government and say, pay for the bid. No. I mean, CSA, they've just been awarded in a matter of a day or two. We were called, we convened a virtual meeting. They said, we don't want no money from you, Cricket South Africa. But we want guarantees because we know that you'll give us guarantors as government for us to host a successful, hence we're given because of how South African government has hosted a number of premier events. So we can't have an association that must come to us and want money for pre-bidding. So there are issues of leadership. We leave those issues there. But all what we can do is say in this stage, we support the withdrawal. We support the decision. That's all we can say. Really, we support the decision. There are no further details to that. Thank you very much.
Minister, one more question about the youthful shift with the new BSA.
Well, look, the reality is that South Africa is getting much, much more younger. I mean, if you look at this room, Zizi Kodwa, the people of my age, what we did, besides the competencies that we brought to the board and the diverse skills, we look at what are the challenges facing boxing SA now. Obviously, you need some new thinking there. There's no doubt about it. You need some innovation. You need people who can apply and understand this issue of financial reviewing your model. Can't depend on the state and government forever. The issues that David was raising about. So we need people to say, to promote this important sport, what else do you need to do? Obviously, with the support of government. So that is how we looked at, and then you look at in the number of applicants who applied. There were many, I must say. There were many. There were quite many very competent men and women. That's why you got about 4 women in the board. They're competent enough. If you look at their background and the kind of caliber that they bring to the board is what you need at the moment in BSA. Thank you very much.
We now go through one final round of questions. Any takers? Sir, there at the back, you haven't asked a question.
Regarding Bosnia South Africa, the first question would be a lot of what has happened. I for one believe that 3 years in office is not good enough to mop up the new board to familiarize themselves with the act, come up with their own plans and implement them. Is 3 years in office not going to be made? Is it possible that the 3 years in office can be extended to at least 5 years? Because boxing, a problem in boxing has been there since 2001, simply because 3 years is not just good enough for anybody, no matter how good you are as an administrator, to get boxing right. Also, I wanted to find out about the position of the CEO because we had a board member acting as the CEO. Now that this board is gone, what's going to happen to the position of the CEO? For the longest of time, Boxing South Africa operated without the CFO, which is the highest office in any establishment. But that has been sorted out. Right now, there is no director of operations. What's going to happen to such a position? Thank you.
At the front.
Minister, introducing from SABC News. Let me start by complimenting the motto and the discussion on SAPA. Did I say maybe they will have enough money by 2021? Because at the moment we understand the financial difficulties of the organization.
will they be ready now? Will they need assistance from government come 2031 or taking up to 2031? Secondly, on that, there's been some reports about the fallout between the minister that's happened in the leadership of SAFA here on that, so that we won't have to read about maybe wrong or right report. Let's have that clear. And then on the boxing in South Africa, the issues minister and his minister in many reported widely, but they keep on coming. Promoters are not taking minister, they always call us. They always report things that are happening between them and leadership at Boxing SA. That their licenses are being revoked or they've kept on being suspended unfair without being given a chance to explain themselves. Is there anything that the ministry is doing in making sure that besides the board at PSA, their leadership, including acting CEO, I don't know. I think it's been acting forever now as well. We don't know when are we gonna have maybe a permanent members of that that will lead Boxing SA, maybe for the organization to come back to its glory days. Because at the moment things are really falling apart.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. My question on the awards, I expected the minister to kindly elaborate more, yes, but to my disappointment, you didn't. So maybe let's leave SIGSA aside. As SIGA, the Cultural and Creative Industries Guild of Africa, are we going to be consulted by DSEC since we represent the artists nationwide in the planning of the awards and maybe going forward in the planning of any other program that DSEC is doing nationally? Since we are now recognized, since we are now been doing a lot of work on the ground for the artists. Thank you, Minister.
This was the last one of questions. One more question. One more there at the very back.
Thank you. No, I was going to say the minister did not answer my question because I asked Uguti, there was Usiba before this one, and what would be different. And I also, Minister, I know you're saying the cultural industry is included. Is it late now to also consider that? Because if the awards are saying creative, they are excluding cultural industries. Thank you.
I'm just looking for one paragraph. In the statement, we do say the details about the awards will be announced soon. It's in the statement. So I'm sure a lot of other ideas that are coming out will be incorporated. I'm certain the board is aware of the challenges. And one of the challenges, having had an opportunity to see the chair, that if you are to address the issues of sustainability, governance, leadership in PSA, you urgently need a new CEO. No doubt about it. You need a new CEO to stabilize the organization. So, I mean, to address, including some of the gaps that you had, CFO and so on. And I think the point made, but I think someone from Sowetan asked the question. Look, I hear you're talking about mop-up. I know there's too much heat wave and storms, so when you talk about mop-up, I know what you mean. But at 3 years is enough time sometimes for a good leadership to deliver a good product. So I don't think you must always look at, because if it was 5 years, you'll use the same argument. No, 5 years is not enough to mop up plus do something new. Then you'll end up going to 20 years. 3 years is a long time for anybody in the office to make a change. I mean, there are people who get into the office in 6 months. You can feel something is moving. So I hear your point, a suggestion about extending, but I don't get it. Let's give this board a chance. let them show that we were wrong to appoint them. Not on the basis that they come from this, that, no. It's on the basis of their competency and their passion about boxing as a sport. I've read about them, I've listened to some of them, and this is what I think it's always been missing in each federation, the CEO of SASCOC, the passion. Because somebody can give them a good position, but with no passion, doesn't make any difference. And I think the passion is there, their love of boxing. Let's judge them. Let history judge them. Let's not judge them now. 3 years is a long time. That's all I can say. If they're not doing the work, you know what they know what is expected. Some of these federations need like a thorough, if you like, monitoring. When they drop the ball, you must be reminded you are dropping the ball, so that it does not get to the end of 3 years. Then you realize that you need to mop up now. It's late to mop up. You must do something even to avoid and mitigate mop-ups. That's the point I'm making. Let's give them a chance. And I think the issue of a term, they will prove to us that indeed the CEO acting is not sustainable. You can't have an acting CEO for such a long time. The board knows it very well. And that process, I don't think it should take long, Chairperson. That process of finding a new CEO shouldn't take that long. Boxing South Africa, or boxing as a sport, used to be number 3 loved sport in the country. Get it back, get it right. And it is in your hands to do it right. Thank you very much. Into a SAFA itheni?
So will SAFA have enough
Will
money
they
in
have enough money in
2031?
2031?
And yes, I mean, I don't want to take make an assumption that I speak on behalf of SAFA. I'm sure they can answer that question. What happened in the meeting? Look, the CEO of SASCOC is here. When I meet the deputy minister is here, the officials of the department, I don't meet friends. I meet people who are expected to work, and I engage you on the basis of your work. So that is who am I. So if one can read that as what you call it, the boxing or what? So I don't think there was a boxing, but as a minister responsible who must go to cabinet, because none of the people who were in the meeting on Thursday would be in cabinet when I explain these things. And cabinet is tough, especially when it comes to money. Our cabinet is start with the president. The answers that comes from the president, I ask tough questions. Why? Where will the money come from? So if I don't get answers, I don't understand. I will not go to cabinet. Just to embarrass myself. Thank you very much.
So that was the last round of questions, colleagues. We now close off this media briefing. Thank you so much, Minister, Deputy Minister, ADG. Thank you so much, colleagues, and congratulations to all the new appointments. We'll keep you updated on any developments from the department as we always do. Thank you so much.
Just quickly. Are we going to take pictures? Sorry.